It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Welcome to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, you can watch us on ssptv.com and download our app. Search SSPTV and you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, every once in a while, folks, I like to bring you up to date as what's going on in Hazleton. But remember, Hazleton is a very important part of this entire area. Okay, I know we service from Sinclair up to Mountaintop, but Hazleton is a key area for the surrounding areas, and I'd like to bring information to you. Today my guest is Chief Jerry Speziale, who is the Chief of Police here in Hazleton. Has been on the show a number of times. I want to straighten something out, folks. I was approached by a person at a diner, and he was sitting next to me, and we're having something to eat, and he said, Sam, he said, every time you have a show and you talk about Hazleton, it's all, you never bring out the bad things, it's always the good things, and why don't you tell people really what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I think we are telling people what's really going on, and I'm not going to tell you we have a bed of roses here, but in the same token, I think when you have good things to talk about and positive things to talk about, it makes us feel better. For those of you who have property in this town, for those of you who were born and raised in this town, you're concerned about Hazleton, you're concerned about your neighborhood, you're concerned about what's going on. Jerry Speziale came to Hazleton, and I got to tell you, Frank DeAndre did a great job, right, Jerry?
Absolutely.
I mean, they all did. All the chiefs that I've known of and mayors, they all tried their best. And now we had Jerry. So Jerry, I was a little. I understand. I guess he had some concerns in Hazleton, or people live in certain areas and there's noise, and I see recently you addressed that, and I said, well, have you contacted the Chief Jerry Speziale? He said, because you don't tolerate any of that nonsense, okay?
Absolutely.
And what we try to do is bring good news, and today we have a lot of good news. Now, we're never going to get away with limit crime, but let's go back a little bit as to, I always like to say, well, when someone comes on board, what did they say they're going to do? And that they do that, because as you know, talk is very cheap.
Sure. Okay,
but you're a down-to-earth guy, and you say this is the way it is. So when you came in the area, picking up from Frank DeAndre, who did a fabulous job.
Absolutely.
Okay, Frank did a wonderful job. What did you see that you wanted to do in Hazleton?
It's that shared vision that Frank had, and I have. We have that shared vision of a safer Hazleton. So, Frank had his strategies that he did and drove crime in a good direction. And then I came and carried the torch and put in my 21st century policing concepts and strategies and programs. And really the credit goes to the men and women of the Hazleton Police Department. They're a talented group of individuals that are truly dedicated to the welfare of the citizens. They work extremely hard. And, if I ask them to walk, if I ask them to hotspot police, if I ask them to evidence-based police, they do all of those things. They're willing to learn it, and they're willing to do it. And that's why we see the success we're seeing today.
So you came on in 2016, January, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so what were some of the things that you were looking at? Because you heard on our news, or you read in the Standard Speaker, who got shot, who got knifed, who got this, and every other week or every other day you're hearing all this stuff, okay? But you come in and picking up from Frank DeAndre, you said, okay, now this is what we're gonna do.
What we ended up doing is picking up from Frank is we went with technology, whether it was social media, whether it was text for tips so that people could put anonymous, information to us with keeping their anonymity, the new online submit a tip through web-based tips, the fact that we have all types of technology now. We have computers and tough pads in the cars so that I can see where the cars are. The cars can see where each other is. They can silent dispatch. They can use crime mapping. We're data driven in fighting our crime, which is evidence-based. You see where crimes are occurring, they have to go to those specific areas and spend time there. So a lot of that has, gleaned what we see today with the reduction in crime. Sam, what people have to understand, it's the perception and how safe you feel in your home or your neighborhood that really drives someone to say it's safe. I can show you statistics and say that crime is down, but I also have to work to prevent crime and make sure the message gets out to the community and let people know that if you come into Hazleton to shop, to visit, or you live here, your likelihood of becoming the victim of a crime is less likely than likely.
All right, so now these are facts, folks, okay? And I know, and I'm going to share something with Jerry that happened to me about a couple weeks ago. But let's talk about what the statistics are. These are great numbers.
Sure.
I mean, as you know, they've been great. Explain to what these numbers are, okay?
Well, what we did is we looked at the crimes from 2015 to 2016. And in 2016, from 2015 to 2016, the first year, we were able to see a 26% reduction in crime. We talked about it on the show. We thought that was great. Did I anticipate to make that same number? Absolutely not. As a police leader, you think, boy, we made such a good dent in that first year. Perhaps we'll only get 2 or 3%, and you'd still be setting off fireworks because you still had a reduction. You didn't go backwards. Instead, this year, we dropped another 19%, double digits. So we are 40% overall over the last 2 years down in crime. That's nearly 50%. That has to be a 25-year low for this city. So we need to get that message out to the community. You're safe here. We're going to protect you.
Okay, now to borrow and those numbers are phenomenal, okay?
Sure.
Okay, however, now, a few weeks ago, I was in a place and there was a person there, the place was jammed, and this person was very vulgar. I mean, he was yelling on the phone, etc. And it was not a nice situation. In fact, the people there were getting nervous.
Sure.
And it was a public area. And so one of the people came up to me and says, "This is the problem we have, Sammy. You see what we have to put up with, okay?"
Sure.
And I, for that incident,
Sure.
okay, so they could have done something. They could have called the police department.
Call 911.
911, and you would have been there, okay, to straighten out.
seconds.
So the thing is, there are areas. I know people come to me. You should live in this area, Sam. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't know what's going on here. And they're peddling drugs down here. And I can't say they're lying. And I think this is where the gentleman was saying to me, Sam, why don't you tell about the areas so we still have those areas. Okay, what do we do about those areas, Jerry?
Well, I've been working some midnights.
I know.
Okay.
You've been getting hammered too.
I come out at midnight and I will work on midnights because there were some problems with after-hours clubs.
Yeah.
Houses that were being set up in neighborhoods, blocking traffic, blocking corners, making noise, having their own little nightclub inside a house with 300 or 400 people in it.
Oh my God.
So how do you find it? So what I did is I came in on the midnights, I got my night crew together, I went to one of the most famous bars here in the area, I waited till the bar closed at 2:30, and I followed the cars right to the house. Once I watched them all start pulling up with taxis and cars that were at that bar, I knew what I had. So I said, how am I I knocked on the door, they weren't coming to the door. No problem, I had 8 cops with me. I said, you know what we're gonna do? Every illegally parked car here, tow them all. They'll come out, they'll open the door. We towed the entire block. As soon as that happened, the person came out. Person's been given 6 citations for noise. It's the cost of doing business for that individual. He's making tons of money. So he don't care about paying the $500 or the $1,000 fine, but he's gonna still disrupt the quality of life in that neighborhood. So that's unacceptable. We have enough to show that he's a public nuisance and creating a public nuisance. So get the district attorney on the phone, the assistant, the on-call right now. Talk to the on-call DA at 3:30 in the morning. Said, listen, here's what I have. 6 citations, blocks, nuisance, fire codes. Can't have it in this city. I said I want to arrest him for a crime and charge him with a misdemeanor. Gave me the okay. Went back to the individual and said, here's the deal. Empty the place now. 300 people came out. Smoke billowing out of the place.
My God.
Cars getting out of there. They haven't been back since because I told them the next time I come to this block, I'll be working weekends I'll be working midnights this weekend. Next time we come back, you're going in handcuffs, and you're getting charged with the crime.
Jerry, and this is, again, indicative where you see the total disregard for police and law enforcement.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you know, they smirk at you.
Smirk at me. When I walked up to him and he finally came out, you know what he told me? I said, listen, we can't have this no more. We're towing the cars. We got to stop this. And he said to me, my brother's birthday. I said, your brother's birthday? It's been your brother's birthday for the last 2 months that I've been having complaints here? I said, that's over. We're going to arrest you. We're going to charge you. And quickly that ended.
See, so there's messages to be sent out here. Okay?
Absolutely.
So I think here again, if, you know, a good friend of mine who lives the street up here, and he said, you know, I said, noise at 2:30, trying to, I said, well, did you call
us.
Call the police, you know.
Call us.
You know, well, they won't come. Well,
call us.
Don't,
we'll be there.
Don't assume
No.
that they're not going to come there, okay?
We will be there.
We use a word here, perception, okay?
Yes.
And look, you know, I've been going to New York City a long time, okay?
I worked there my whole career.
And if you treat the city with respect, it's a great city.
Yes, it is.
But if you go looking for trouble, you're going to
find
get
it.
it.
Of course.
In our area, Jerry, I think it's the same thing.
Sure
You
it
know,
is.
we have, I mean, people say, well, I'm afraid to go to Wyoming Street. I mean, I personally, and knock on wood, I mean, we've never had a problem. Maybe today we will, but the point is, we never had a concern. But I think the perception is, you know, you see different characters or whatever.
Correct.
Oh, that person, you know, if they have a hood on or whatever. I mean, so you assume. How do we get away from this?
You know what? I think you got to get away from the stereotypical views of what you think someone looks like that's going to commit a crime. Are there undesirables? They are in every city. You know, our job is to clear them off of those corners and to make sure that we keep the city safe. And as I said, just because we close this place, the message should be loud and clear. Whoever picks up and tries to reopen a new place, if you do that in a neighborhood or in a private house, there's no citations no more. Now that we know that we have this public nuisance law, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
So if you want to go that route, go ahead. But my recommendation would be buy a bar somewhere, get a license, if that's the business you want to be in.
Talking to Jerry Speziale, folks, the police chief Hazleton, giving us some numbers, and also again, they're all working their best. I see these guys and women in the Hazleton police, all the police people, law enforcement in this area. I mean, from Cunningham to Sugarloaf to Freeland and to McAdoo. I mean, everyone, Monterey City, they're out there every day, you know, and I pray for you guys, you know, and women, because, you know, especially the Pennsylvania State Police. I mean, not they don't know what they're coming across. Jerry,
Absolutely.
People are nuts today.
Sure.
You know, they'll pull a gun
Very
on you,
true.
shoot you, okay.
Without a doubt.
We'll be back right after this, folks. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7 SSPTV.com. You can watch all of our shows. And folks, download our app, SSP TV. I know there's many people living in Florida, California, Afghanistan. Yes, people who are in Europe who've been on vacation. They were watching some of our shows. When you get on our app, you'll know how easy it is. It's a great app. Don't you think our app is great?
I think it's tremendous. I watch it all the time.
Yeah.
I use Apple TV and put it right up with the app.
It does a great job. Jerry Speziale is the chief police in Hazleton, folks, and we got some. So let's review some of the greats. I mean, we still have crime.
Sure.
But what are some of the statistics that?
You know, if you look at what we're concerned about is, you know, that violent crime. You look at robbery. In 2015, we had 52 robberies here. You know, you go to today in 17, 22. It's a tremendous drop. You know, you look at the other crimes, burglary. That was something, if you remember when I first came on, I was concerned because it looked like it was increasing. But the increased patrols, the saturation patrols in the specific areas, we went from 120 burglaries to 84. I mean, those are big numbers. You know, you're 2 to 1. You know, that is some great numbers that we're seeing there, you know, whether it be the thefts, the larcenies. We're at 353. We're down to 171. Nearly 50%. So people don't want to come around. That's showing me that people don't want to come here and commit the crime in Hazleton.
Okay. So,
because you're going to get caught.
all right. Do you still feel, how much a percentage of these robberies and burglaries are drug related?
I would say that probably 80% of them are.
Still up high.
Yeah, that's the high number.
Okay, so here we go. Once again, and this is like a story that's going on and on and on. You guys, I could imagine how law enforcement is so frustrated with the drugs. Okay.
Sure.
What someone sees activity. Okay, when you have a user, there's a big difference between a user once you get hooked. Yes, sure, they got hooked. But the point is, what do you do? It's like an alcoholic or you know what I mean?
Got to get them help.
Get them help.
Yes.
Okay. But then you have the person who is delivering it, whether it's coming in from whatever, cities or wherever they're coming in from. What have you been doing in those areas, Jerry, to track them?
Without giving our secret information or classified information up, we're working with the Drug Enforcement Administration, not only here in the Scranton area or the Philly area. Because I come from there, we're now communicating with the New York Field Division where I came from. We're doing the New Jersey Field Division where I've worked. So we have people there. I have nephews that work there that are communicating with the Narcotics Division here in the Hazleton Police Department and working with them. So if they see something that's coming in and then coming up to Hazleton, we're getting the notifications. So we're going after, you have to look at, we go after the demand and we also go after the supply. You have to look at both ends of it. But the supply is what's really driving things here. And that's what we're going after.
Is the supply still in demand there? I mean, is it?
There's, as long as someone's willing to buy those opioids and the heroin, you're always going to have someone that's going to be there to supply it. I think we've done a good job of hitting the suppliers here in Hazleton. But what happens is then you get the people that are addicted from here that will drive somewhere and be the conduit for the other addicts that don't want to drive. So, if I was addicted to drugs and now I don't have a supplier no more in Hazleton, I'll drive to the Philadelphias, to the New Jerseys, to the New Yorks, and when I go there, I'll get enough to supply the people here. So I'm not a big supplier, but what I do is I make enough money to support my habit by bringing enough back to take care of the people that want to buy it from me.
Okay, so a couple.
So they're like mid-level.
Yeah.
So
a couple issues here. Number one, you have, I haven't spoken to any district attorney that is in favor of the marijuana law. Okay, I haven't spoken to anyone. Okay, however, unfortunately or fortunately, okay, medical marijuana is a whole different.
I'm on the medical marijuana.
I'm on the medical marijuana.
I support that
100%. But now you have, because you have, how could I say this without being rude or. Because you cannot manage your financing, and if you're in a state of, and you're a legislator, and you cannot manage, okay, so now what happens is, where do we get more money, okay?
Right.
So
I just talked about that.
Yeah.
So funny.
So it's like a catch-22, okay? Sure. We're killing ourselves, okay? They're not talking about, in Colorado, all of the things that have happened with these people.
Absolutely.
They're not bringing all of those things up, okay?
No.
Because you have the liberal press and you have the wackos out there. That's my opinion, okay? Sure. And that we're eating ourselves, we're destroying ourselves within, Jerry.
What I say with the legalization of marijuana, please don't do it in a vacuum. You're not looking at putting somebody behind machinery or vehicles. THC for marijuana stays in your system up to 60 to 90 days. So what's going to happen? We're going to have legalized marijuana, then somebody causes a fatality in a motor vehicle. How are we going to decipher when that individual, if their affirmative defense is going to be, I'm allowed to smoke it. I smoked it, and I smoked it 2 months ago. I didn't smoke it yesterday, and now somebody's dead. Or do we know enough about it to say that it's not a gateway drug to opioids and other drugs? Do we know enough about that?
So, Jerry, you live it every day.
Yes.
Okay, I have a talk show, we talk about it, then we go on to different subjects, okay? You live it every day. If I was a state legislator or a state senator, or I would have to say, look, bring the professionals in
Sure.
who deal with this all the
Sure.
time, because I'm not in that every day, okay? I know the budget sucks.
Yes.
I know, maybe it wasn't me as a legislator
Sure.
who didn't know how to run the damn thing. So that's why we keep putting people who are not qualified in office.
Sure.
And they're destroying us, and we end up paying it. So until it affects, God forbid, that person kills your son.
Absolutely,
Who is
Sam.
on marijuana. All of a sudden, it's important to you now. Am I?
Yeah, I agree, Sam. And this is all about, they say that we're going to kill the black market or the illegal sales.
Yeah.
No, what's going to happen is if marijuana becomes legal, and it's legalized, what you haven't thought about is, what about those that are under 18 or 21, whatever the age is, that can't get it? So you're going to have, just like I talked about that go to buy the drugs and become that middleman, you're going to have the middleman that used to go into the liquor stores to buy liquor for young kids. So you're going to have somebody that can go buy it legally, mark it up, and then give it to the younger people that can't buy it. So you're still going to have an illegal market in marijuana. It's not going to stop.
Society today has so much going against them. You have the American family that's getting hammered, okay, by Hollywood, okay, and then we glamour these people. These are people that are to me not fit to even whatever, but they're killing the American family, destroying the American family. Sure. And they glorify the drugs. And okay, we could laugh a little bit, and it's a comedy or whatever, but young people, you make an impression on young people.
Absolutely.
And
Till you lose somebody.
Yeah, Jerry, that's what I'm trying to say.
Till you lose somebody.
Till these people, and then all of a sudden they're watching a movie. These kids are smoking marijuana and doing the drugs. And,
Transcends all boundaries, Sam. I'm wearing this uniform. Lost my brother-in-law, and I lost my first cousin. It doesn't discriminate. Yeah. It takes all lives. Yeah. It doesn't. Please wake up and realize that.
Well, it's unfortunate because it's always when it's too late. I'm not a pure by no means. Okay, believe me, I'm a sinner like everybody. But when I see what Hollywood's doing and how they're destroying the and how we are accepting that, okay, they think it's a lot of fun, but it's just killing everybody. You see it every day.
It's killing society, man. It's killing society, our society. Yeah. We're going to lose a generation.
Yeah.
We're on the verge of losing a generation.
So what do we do?
There's a lot of things. I don't know that I have that answer. I think that we all have to band together, can't do it in a vacuum. We have to call the professionals to the table, and we really have to come up with concrete solutions that we can really get our arms around this problem. I don't think that we can just look at things in a money aspect or look at things, we have to look at this from a holistic viewpoint.
So let me ask you this, Jerry, okay? I see, sometimes there's meetings. You get together, you and legislators, and you're talking about the opioid problems, and and then Wolf comes out and says we're declared this, and that's all well and good. So people say, "Oh, there's another meeting." We know is anything accomplished?
We need action.
Yeah, you have all these people in your meeting, they have these big meetings, and we cover them, and there's,
action.
Is anything accomplished by those things?
There's meetings, and I think that, some states have made some good headway with this, but we have to. I think New Jersey's made some good headway with the campaign that they have taken with regard to opioids and getting help. But I think that we have to find solutions and put them into action. Opioid response teams that can come to the hospital for, overdose victims. Things like that. Action. We have to take action. Talk is cheap.
Oh my God! And people just like when they said the property taxes, school taxes will be eliminated when they put the casinos in. Well, that was a lot of nonsense, folks. I'm talking to Chief Jerry Speziale, Hazleton Police Chief, and great news as far as crime is concerned. So we still have crime, but brought it down on an overhaul basis of 40%. And it's just, we're getting better, and thanks to all those law enforcement people. And folks, when you see them, give them some respect. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7 SSPTV.com, and download our app. Search SSPTV. My guest today is Hazleton Police Chief Jerry Speziale. Jerry, so once again, your crime has gone down tremendously from 2016, 15 to 2017. However, we still have crime.
So we have a lot of work to do.
What do you envision now for the future?
CompStat. We're going to take the men and women of the Hazleton Police Department, the leadership. I'm going to take them to the NYPD, and we're going to start watching how the precinct commanders and things that I learned in my career from the New York City Police Department, how we hold people accountable at different ranks to make sure that they're doing different things throughout the community. They're going to watch an actual CompStat meeting with the police commissioner and all the hierarchy of the NYPD, which is going to be a great training program for them. And then we're going to enact it here in Hazleton.
Now, once again, we say thank you.
Thank you.
To not only your crew, but anyone who is in law enforcement today.
Appreciate
Believe
it.
me, they should be respected,
Yes, sir.
no matter where it is. Pennsylvania State Police, local policemen, constables. Folks, I know a good friend of mine who's a constable, and believe me, I tell them, you're out of your mind. But the point is, they do a great job, the constables, they really do. We'll see you next time.